Fast.
Welcome back. Well, it is 10 years today since what's become known as the miracle on the Hudson. That was when a US Airways plane was hit by geese shortly after takeoff, then lost both engines and altitude before ditching into New York's Hudson River. It was a miracle landing, plus everyone survived. And here's how it played out in the movie Sully, just after Captain Sullenberger told passengers to brace for impact.
You got any ideas?
Caution, terrain.
Actually, no.
Terrain. Pull up, pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up.
We're gonna brace.
Pull up. Pull up.
Well, that is how Hollywood remembers it, but how did it actually play out for the passengers on the plane? Well, Aussie singer Emma Sophina was among the 155 people on board, and she joins us now from her new home in Nashville. Emma, welcome to the show.
Hey, Emma.
Good morning.
I remember this unfolding live on air, and it could have gone so badly. What were those final moments like before the plane ditched into the Hudson?
My heart is pounding just watching that clip. You know, I don't think you could ever imagine yourself being in that situation. I certainly hadn't, and I'd flown plenty before ever taking that flight. You know, it was very calm, actually, surprisingly, on the plane. You know, there was a lot of people in leading up to the landing. There was a gentleman behind us that was screaming, "We're on fire," which you could smell we were on fire. But there was a lot of people calm, eerie, but also, you know, crying and screaming. And I know that there was some people making phone calls as well.
Because it's very hard to us. We know how it ended now. We know the fairy tale ending. At that time, you must have thought you were going to die. I mean, what's going through your head?
I really did think that I was, yes, going to die. But I also think it was also a mix of emotions in terms of we didn't know that it was birds. You know, when you're on the plane, you're not looking at it from the outside. And so it's also this question of, oh, has something happened? Has somebody done something to the plane? So it was a mix of emotions, but I really did have a sense of accomplishment and a sense of peace, surprisingly
Really?
enough.
Even when you thought that was it. What were the crew telling you?
So I was sitting in the middle of the plane, so I couldn't actually hear what the crew was saying, but I do know that they were saying head down, you know, brace for impact once we'd been given that instruction.
But when you've hit the water, Emma, did you think you were going to sink?
Oh, yes. So we were taking in water pretty much straight away. I'm a petite person. So when I got into the aisle, got out of my seat, got into the aisle, started heading out, I was already almost knee-deep in water at that stage. It had cracked on the backside of the plane and flopped on the front, and so we were taking water from the backside.
And when you talked about calm, a sense of accomplishment, explain that to me.
It was a sense of peace. I believe that it does come from my faith that I have, and I really did feel like everything in my life has been accomplished, and I'm happy to go.
Emma, take us back to the impact when the plane actually ditched into the Hudson. Do you remember what that was like, what it sounded like, what it was like in the cabin when you actually hit the water?
Yes, my immediate thought was we've hit a building. You know, you have flashbacks of what happened at 9/11. So for me, that was actually my initial thought, and I remember thinking, oh, dear God, I hope they get the people out of the building. And then it's this you know, quick reflex of get out of your seat. I'm so thankful for the people that sat in the emergency exits, because they were, you know, on point to get those doors open so that we can all get out. So grateful for those guys, as much as the you know, the crew.
I got to say, I'm going to take so much more notice when I'm sitting in an exit seat from now, because I go, do you understand this? Yeah, whatever. Let me get back to reading. I'm going to take a lot of notice.
So next time I take a plane, it's going to be making sure I'm next to Emma. But to talk about some of the, I mean, you sound like you were remarkably composed. Talk about the reactions of some of the other people on the plane. You mentioned there was a guy screaming that they're on fire. Were people panicking, or was everyone sort of as calm as you, or...?
No, I recall actually looking through the gap in my seat, and the lady behind me was gripping the seat, and she was just dead stare ahead with, you know, absolute panic on her face. You know, and then there was screaming and some crying and people asking questions. But of course, at that stage, we didn't know what was going on, and you know, we're glad that our captain didn't give us a running commentary of what was going on. Instead, just gave us the instruction he needed to give us, and landed the plane, and here we all are.
We have a picture of you just after the rescue from the river. That's you on the right, and you're sitting in a bus. Tell us how you were feeling at that moment, and is it true that even after you got off the plane, you wanted to go back for a moment? What was that about?
It was this epiphany of, oh, I'm a foreigner in another country and I don't have any ID on me. That was really why I wanted to get back on the plane. And there's a familiarity as Australians when you're in the United States. You don't think about that, but then I had this realisation. I'm sitting next to Karen Rooney in that bus shot, and the both of us are actually talking about where are we going next. We didn't know. We now know that what they were trying to do was, those that had gone in different locations, we were trying to locate everybody and get everybody into one location to account that it was definitely everybody that survived.
Emma, did you get to meet Sully? Did you get to meet the man who saved your life and the life of everyone else on that plane?
Yeah, several times.
And
He's
what's
an
that
amazing
been like?
man with, like, he is just calm. Absolute calm. I've never met anybody like him in my life.
Wow. And what was it like to see the movie?
You know what? I haven't seen it.
And you don't think you will?
I've lived it. I didn't want to see it.
Emma, how's this made you feel about flying now? I mean, I imagine you'd think twice before you get on a plane?
No, I honestly thought I have to get back on the horse. Because of being in the United States, I thought I was going to be coming home because I was just here on holiday. So it was a mind over matter. And I've only really suffered a little bit of PTSD when I was in Greece later that same year. But other than that, it was really, I have to get over this, and I know that I can, because the odds of it happening a second time are even more slim.
You're now following a career in music, and in a weird sort of way, the incident opened some doors for you. Can you explain?
Yeah, it did. And I was singing in Australia as a singer, and so when I came over here, I had spoken to a producer while I was in New York before the plane crash, and it just began to snowball from there, especially when the media starts asking, you know, what's your name, how old are you, what do you do for a living? So as a result, I ended up getting signed to a label. I'm now living in Nashville, Tennessee. It's an amazing city, full of music, and things are going really well.
Emma, you have an extraordinary story, and we're so lucky that you shared it with us this morning. You can follow Emma's music career at carlislemusic.com. Thank you so much for joining us, and safe flights and safe travels in the future.
Well done, Emma.
Thanks very much, Emma. You're extraordinary.
Thank you.
Now, coming up, from quality to sizing, we'll get expert